In this series, I seek to highlight some of the problems with the MBTI, the psychometric instrument conceived by Briggs and Myers, which was based on Dr. Carl Jung's 1921 treatise, Psychological Types. I come not to bury the MBTI, but to praise its several founders. It's a shame the principal proponents of psychological type commit the evils that men do in their quest for fame and fortune. Jung knew what he was talking about. His credentials, extensive collection of work, in particular his treatise on psychological types, are exalted without peer. InterPersonality believe that Jung's psycho-spiritual measure, his psychological types, are a unique gift to mankind, perhaps the only viable science, in answer to humanity's quest to understand the cause of personality difference, dating back to Empedocles, BC 490 to 430. Isabel Myers, inspired by her mother Catherine Briggs, also knew that Jung was on the money with his treatise. She devoted her entire life to perfecting an instrument that would make Jung's types available to all. In fact, no Jung-based indicator can match the MBTI in either extent of research or body of attendant work, although several do achieve much the same result as the MBTI. Technically, the MBTI is a masterpiece of psychometrics. Illuminating a bipolar dichotomy is no mean feat, especially when that dichotomy is so very difficult to conceptualize, let alone capture or measure. I come to praise Jung and Myers, while simultaneously publishing a wake-up call to the industry and all those practitioners who make their income from the MBTI. But the credibility of the MBTI has been challenged by many, from well-informed academics to corporate leaders, to the many people whose MBTI type simply does not make sense, leading them to regard the indicator as unreliable and irrelevant. There is no shortage of ammunition for such claims. One need only witness the plethora of ill-informed accredited MBTI practitioners whose naive questions litter professional forums to realise that the MBTI as a profession is in disarray. To make matters worse, the MBTI's attendant high-minded standards and ethics, coupled with its chosen method of distribution, contribute to this ongoing decline, resulting in the discredit of Jung's years of study, brilliant deductions, and life-changing insights. The MBTI's poor performance and perceived unreliability ultimately make Jung's psychological types the subject of ridicule. I reiterate that all interpersonality practitioners are trained to identify Jung's psychological types, expressed using the well-known Myers-Briggs nomenclature, without an indicator by identifying the cognitive functions employed. This classification we call Psyche-Type. Ultimately, Psyche-Type is what the Myers-Briggs type indicator aims to reveal. Though there are other indicators and extrapolations on Jung's theory, the MBTI is still essentially the original and by far the most widely known and referred to. Despite the assertions found in the foreword of the MBTI manual of a commitment to a tradition of change, I maintain that the MBTI sadly suffers from fat cat syndrome. The publishers and administrators have become lazy at keeping the indicator real and relevant. For example, unlike the MBTI publishers, we recognise and applaud the work of Dr. John Beebe as being unique, outstanding and entirely relevant to Jung's foundational work. Beebe's 8-function model of the psyche is everything Jung would have developed, if not for his inquisitive and somewhat whimsical mind, despite being an empiricist for most of his career. Those who know Jung's psychological type can well understand why he continued to develop other areas of interest instead of putting in more time to developing such aspects as the tertiary function, something which Beebe addressed. The publishers of the MBTI would do well to recognise Beebe's contribution instead of their misguided alliance with the naive temperament theory. This series also seeks to highlight the advantage of our approach over that of our contemporaries. All interpersonality practitioners are accredited in a Jung-based indicator, but, unlike the vast majority of other MBTI practitioners, we do not use the indicator alone or unsupported. Nor do we supplement another occupation such as coaching, teaching, or game show host. For us, correct Psyche-Type based on the cognitive functions in use is paramount. Let me restate here again. There is only one psychological types, and all the rest, including Kersey's temperaments, socionics and the Enneagram, are simply personality theories. And though Jung proposed his types almost 90 years ago, his treatise is by far the most advanced, irreducible personality classification theory known, with the Myers-Briggs indicator and nomenclature still the most widely known and researched application of that theory. If you want to take advantage of Jung's investigation into the psycho-spiritual nature of the mind, you must have your correct psych-type, and ideally you should have studied the basics of Jung's psychological types. Undertake a proven course of study and consult a professional to confirm your psych-type. Interpersonality are psych-type professionals. Psych-type is all we do. Learn Psyche-Type. It will change your life.